Hey everybody, Dustin DePirac here. Andy Graham is filling in this evening for Mr. Jeremy Price. Price is on the desk.
It's a privilege.
So
I'll try to measure up.
he does what he can. Andy Graham can always measure up. Anyway, let's talk actual basketball. Indiana played Southern Indiana. First time they played somebody else. First time this pretty much brand new team is playing somebody else. They've got 7 new guys. It feels like a brand new team. It was weird to not see Jordan Hulls or Christian Watford or any of those guys out here tonight. But they win 83-68 over Southern Indiana, a really good Division II team. Coming off a 23-win season, they were in the tournament last year, and bring most of their good guys back. They're missing their leading scorer. He's out with some academic issues. They'll get him back in December. But anyway,
they still started 4 seniors. They're a veteran team.
Yeah, and Indiana played pretty solid. I mean, and you definitely could tell. The way I put it in my gamer is they were everything Tom Crean has been saying they would be. They were extremely long, extremely athletic, and they had their moments when they were overly aggressive. They weren't a particularly good shooting team, but they got it done. They play with a lot of energy, as he pointed out. They really were always on attack mode. You can tell he used the word hunger, and you could tell that. I mean, these kids really want to get after it. They don't always know what they're doing yet, and that's to be expected. And frankly, Tom Crean pointed out, we don't really have everything in yet. There's a lot of, defense. There's a lot of things. We're just trying to get general communication together, but we don't have everything we want to do in yet. But considering all that, I thought they looked pretty good. They caused, they got out in transition a lot. Sometimes over gambled, but sometimes it really helped them out. And that's what this team is going to have to do, is get some easy baskets by causing turnovers, getting steals, getting going in transition.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was it's going to be an entertaining and sometimes maddening team to watch, but a really fun team to watch. It's going to be fun to watch this young team grow, and the level of athleticism is kind of off the charts for some of these guys.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be fun to watch them become college basketball players. And even some of the older guys look new. Yogi Ferrell
was a different guy tonight.
Jump shooter tonight, and his physique, he looks very strong.
He looked strong last year. He's just built like a tank.
But he just looks, he looked ripped. I mean, he looked really good physically, and I liked how some of the other kids who are back played. I mean, it was a really nice game for Hunter Mosquera Pereira.
Very much.
Hit all 5 of his free throws, among other things, but hit a nice baseline jumper. Was very active and
caught the ball every time. It was there, but he did. He looked comfortable. He looked coordinated.
I liked the judgment that he and Jeremy Hollowell both showed. Whereas last year as freshmen, they always tried hard, but it wasn't always, I think, good judgment exercised out there by those two guys. Tonight, I saw a lot of that. I liked it when Jeremy Hollowell took it to the rack.
Yeah,
he had several good takes that were well chosen. I mean, he went at the right moment, at the right time. He took good shots. He handled the ball well. I mean, we were
all kind of happy. Hands too.
He did, and we kind of had a lot of fun this week with the notion of Hollowell playing point guard that was raised and some of the press availability.
But he looked okay. I mean, he looked fine with it. Again, it's not going to be a constant thing. No. It's not going to be something that happens all the time. But he can, it's not like he's never done it before. I mean, Lawrence Central, he was the guy. Certainly, I think they had Tyler Conley on that team. I think was the kid. But I remember when they played at South. I remember he handled the ball at the top of the key because South was face guarding him so much that he wasn't getting the ball, and they were like, okay, well, you handle and you pass off, and that was kind of the way they worked it. So he didn't look uncomfortable with the ball in his hand at the top of the key. He's a guy who likes to make stuff happen, and that was a way to get him to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, the positions are always going to be a bit blurred with Tom Crean teams anyhow.
But not it's never before been like this. No, he's going to take it to a different
level.
Different level with this. A couple examples of that. First off, the starting lineup. Yogi Ferrell, Evan Gordon, Will Sheehy, Troy Williams, Noah Vonleh. So basically, we've got 2 straight-up guards, guys that were just in natural positions. Sheehy and Troy Williams are both 3s, and can play the 2, especially Troy. Troy's actually, I think, going to be. I think 2 is almost as much of a natural thing for him as 3 is, and it's certainly way more natural than 4. And Vonleh is a forward that can play the 5 and really has been playing everything 3 to 5. There's been, like I said, as we made the point yesterday, I guess there was, times where he's run the point, but that's not for you might be here. That's for, hey, here's how you figure out the offense. Let's put the ball in your hand and let you watch where everybody goes.
Right.
But more or less, I mean, he's a guy who can play anywhere 3 to 5. hit a three tonight. You know, you can see he's obviously got a lot of step out capability, but has the size to play the five. But there was one lineup on the floor that was just like, whoa, really? I think it was Hollowell, Sheehy, Perea, Jeff Howard, and was Evan Gordon out there? I don't even think so. I don't think there was a guard on the floor, like a pure guard. I think everybody there was a wing at best. I don't know if there was a guy on the floor who was shorter than 6'7". So basically, positions are out the window. We're not even thinking about it at this point.
Well, and one thing I'd say about Hollowell handling the ball up top, when you talk about that opening lineup, he's technically a 4 in that lineup. So if a big guy's guarding him, if he's taking a big guy away from the basket, he can handle the ball against that guy. And it takes a big guy away from the basket. So, it makes a certain amount of sense, I think.
But what it looks like, what I'm saying is, and this is okay, but like he's going to play point on some occasions where Yogi's just not on the floor, and Evan isn't either.
No, I know.
So just whatever guard is on the floor for the other team is going to have to guard somebody, and it might be Jeremy, and he might have to deal with somebody who's 6'2", 6'1", 6'2", low to the ground that's going to take it away from him. But you never know. I mean, that it is obviously a very, very experimental point of this, but the point of I guess the control of the experiment. I can't remember. It's been a while since Chem. The point being is like the parameters of the experiment do not necessarily include positions as we conventionally understand.
It was Dustin trying to follow scientific method there.
I was trying. It was failing. It's been a long time. And as my sophomore year chemistry, teacher could tell you, I wasn't good at that.
Well, we talked about I talked about the returnees a little bit. I want to talk about the freshmen, if you don't mind. That was really exciting. I mean, Williams and Vonleh put their stamps on the game right away. Shot blocks, steals, flying follow-up dunks, baseline moves. It was immediately apparent that both of these guys could play a bit, and that was really exciting.
The athleticism you've been hearing about is very much real.
Very much real. And look, I mean, they didn't even have Stan Robinson and Devin Davis, who by all reports has been one of the standouts in practice.
He's been outstanding from everything.
Didn't play tonight. Apparently has a bit of a back issue or some sort of undisclosed injury.
And the way Tom put it is, he just sounds beat up, all the way around, which says something for the way the guy plays. I mean, he's reckless abandon.
He's got a big
it sounds like the way Tom talked about it, and you don't know. I mean, he might just be not disclosing an injury, but it just sounded like everything hurts Devin right now. He might as well be an offensive tackle.
But I liked what I saw from the newcomers tonight, and we didn't even see a couple of them.
Yeah,
and so
two of them were intriguing.
The one glaring thing that Indiana didn't show tonight was much outside shooting.
No.
They couldn't buy a jumper for most of the
except
first
Yogi.
half. Except Yogi, that's right. And Yogi looked transformative in that regard.
Yes,
he looked very comfortable taking the threes. I know at one point, I mean, he had 20 points tonight and did not have a 2-point field goal.
That's all night. Correct? Yeah, no, he didn't have a 2-point field goal.
Which tells you a lot about how his game has altered a bit, at least through tonight.
And what they're doing with him, I think, is fascinating. Because, despite the fact that he is the only point guard on this team, only scholarship, true, that's what he is, that's what he does, point guard on this team. There's obviously a couple combo guys in Robinson and Evan, and then Johnny Marlin is a walk-on off the bench. But despite that fact, they looked for ways to move him off the ball, bring him off screens, get him lost in the game a little bit, and get a shot. It wasn't just him taking, knocking down threes off the dribble. They were moving him around to get him looks.
So totally true. And there was one point in the second half, I'm sitting down on this end, and IU was playing on the north end in the half court, and I had a flashback to the 1981 National Championship game, because Bob Knight put Isaiah Thomas right in the middle of the lane. He flashed him in the middle of the lane, was posting him there so he could get the ball, turn and operate. And doggone if I didn't see Tom Crean put Yogi Ferrell right there and try and get the ball to him. So I agree with you. I think it's going to be fascinating to see the variety of ways in which they hope to use.
Right. Yogi. I mean, they're looking at him, not the exact same, but because he's just not at that caliber, but. In the same way they look to move Hulls around a little bit. I mean, and Yogi, the way it operated tonight was Yogi was the guy that they wanted to take the outside shots. Again, last year he was 30.3% from three, and that was a skewed number because early on he was under 100, and finally got it together after a while. And once he did, he sort of found a level right around the 35 range, was really where he belonged. But it looked like a guy that really looks comfortable with that right now.
He did. I thought he was getting his legs into the shot.
Yes.
He was shooting at the apex of the jump rather than on the way down. That kind of stuff looked a lot better.
Very much so. One thing that stood out as I don't want to say stood out as a negative, Noah Vonleh was really, really good everywhere but the free throw line. 0 for 5. And just Yeah, just and the form don't look awful. He just doesn't
No.
seem like he knows where it is.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
a kid with that kind of stroke should not have. I mean, he apparently shot 40% or something in high school last year.
Yeah.
His last year of prep school.
Mhm.
So it's like, you've seen him hit threes. He looks comfortable taking a shot.
yeah.
And even watching him at the line, as you said, the form doesn't look awful.
Mhm.
So hopefully that's just a matter of a lot of work and time. And Coach Green said they really hadn't spent that much time on it yet, but he didn't sound like he was overly concerned.
He did. He said a lot. He
Vonleh
talked a
working
lot
through
about
that.
the size of his hands. He said they measured his hands from I don't know exactly. I guess from thumb to edge or pinky. I don't know how they do this, but he said Noah Vonleh has. If you compared him to guys in the NBA draft camp, he has the biggest hands of anybody other than Kawhi Leonard in like the last 12 years.
And that was something I wanted to bring up too. That struck me is that both Vonleh and Fisher, Luke Fisher, two young big guys who played, had great hands tonight.
Yeah.
They latched on to rebounds. There were a couple of hard passes that were thrown hard or low. They just latched onto them. Hunter Perea looked much more comfortable with his hands
Yes.
tonight.
So much more.
But it was
So
really
much more.
good to see those freshman big men, by big man standards, really had good hands tonight, and that's a good sign.
Yeah. All right, we'll cut that off there. So thanks as always. We'll have Haunted Hall of Hoops coverage tomorrow. On some level, I don't know that we'll be doing the Scoop Talk thing, but then we get got that going. Then we get back into football next week.
Enjoy to go Cards.
Thanks, guys.